Hello and welcome to Forever Fit with Anthony Cheam. Today's podcast is all about the power of juicing. Anthony shares the juice he makes daily to sustain a high-energy lifestyle and how you can start juicing fruits and vegetables to bring your energy and vitality to a whole new level.
Thank you for joining us today. We are going to continue this journey on the health and vitality kick, and we're going to talk about the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and how all the practices and principles we're going to cover relates to upgrading your overall health and vitality in every aspect of your life. So you're energized, you are fully focused, you are emotionally charged, you are spiritually enlightened, you are physically fit, you are eating and fueling your body with the right and proper foods and nutrients, antioxidants, protein, carbohydrates, fats, fiber, all that good stuff. And we are going to continue with the nutrition kick as well. And we talked about the power of smoothies and what I call the 5 S's of super vitality. And the first S is smoothies. So I think yesterday we did cover saying, just replace one of your meals with a smoothie. And if you want to listen to that podcast, just listen to that podcast. We give basic strategies just by replacing one little thing in your life, a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner, or snack in the afternoon. Preferably your first meal of the day is usually breakfast for most, and just replacing that one little thing called breakfast with, or if you're intermittently fasting, with a smoothie, and you won't believe how much that would change your life physically, emotionally, with your energy and your focus. And the key is sustainable energy, constant shuttle of nutrients, constant shuttle of energy, constant shuttle of drive. It feels so good. That's why I drink 2 of them a day. I wouldn't be preaching it and teaching it to you unless I myself practiced it and really embodied that wisdom. So yes, please listen to that podcast yesterday. And today's S, the second S, is the power of squeezing, or the power of juicing. So what we're going to do, I have a juice. I've got like Jack LaLanne juicer. I've been using a Jack LaLanne juicer. That guy was, I think, in his 90s when he passed away, but there's videos of that guy, pulling boats in swimming online on YouTube. You can actually look it up. And he was swimming with like a rope attachment. He was like pulling like 7 boats or 7 with people in it in his like 70s or 80s or something. It was just ridiculous. He was doing some crazy, crazy things, physical feats, athletic things. And he had so much energy. And the guy attested to juicing. And I remember watching one of his infomercials, probably about 20, 25 years ago. And I've been juicing probably for the past 15 years, consistently for the past 15 years. And man, it has changed my life. And I can tell you right now, drinking your vegetables, the one downside of juicing your vegetables and your fruits is that you do lose the fiber. So I'm going to explain to you some of the things that you can do to maintain the fiber, some things you can add to your juices as well to maintain the fiber as well. Now there's different types of juicers out there. There's like the fast centrifugal motion, which is mine. Some people do recommend the slower ones, which are a little bit more expensive. That extract the juice a little bit slower. Those are probably about $200 or $300. Some of them are $400, and they range from $50 to $400 to $500. The particular one I have is probably about $150 to $200. And but I use it every single day. In fact, this is it right here. This right here is the power juice. I remember Cam was over at my house a while ago, and I gave him and his brother one, and man, he felt like Superman. He just wanted to like jump off the walls. There's no drugs in it, just pure love from the earth. Pure love from the earth. You know what I'm saying? So, but here's what's in here. He's exactly what I do. I actually make 2 of these every couple of days, and I take 6 to 8 stalks of celery. I take 2 cucumbers, 2 to 4 carrots, depending on how big the carrots are. And I wash them, of course. And I juice that all into one big little thing. And then what I do is in my blender, my Nutri-Ninja Auto IQ, it's I'm one of the best blenders. It compares definitely with the Vitamix and the Blendtex out there. It's much cheaper. Anyways, what I put in my cup is I put half an avocado, a full organic apple, and a ton of organic kale. Not juiced. I put that half an avocado, an apple, and tons of organic kale in a blender. And then I take the cucumbers and the carrots and the celery I've just juiced, and I pour half of that in the cup with the avocado, the apple, and the kale, and then I blend it in my Nutri-Ninja. That way I don't like the juice kale. I just like to eat the kale. I like to eat the fullness of the kale. So then I get the fiber from the apple, I get the good fats from the avocado, and then what I do is I also add some hemp seeds to it, to the actual thing too as well. Add some fiber to add some protein. So you get a complete meal. You got 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds is 10 grams of protein. 10 grams of protein. So for people that are vegans or vegetarians, eat your hemp seeds, add your chia seeds, add almond milk or anything like that. I mean, you can get so creative, just like we talked about yesterday with smoothies. You can get so creative with your juices. But the other thing you can juice too, that I used to do, I don't necessarily do anymore. I add, actually, we're going to talk about this on one of the other S's, which is the other S. I'm going to give you a kind of a preview of what the next S's are, but supplements. And you can add some supplements to your thing. We won't talk about that right now. But one of the things you can juice too, and you can't get anywhere, usually specialty stores have them. And they are actually real organic turmeric that you can actually juice. Real organic turmeric. Now it is very strong when you juice it. It's very strong, and it stains. Okay, so I found out that the hard way. So if you've got clothes that you like, do not be juicing your turmeric with nice clothes or white clothes, because it's not going to come out, and it leaves a stain on your juicer too as well. So what I do is I actually take organic powdered turmeric and I add it to my juices and my smoothies as well. So little things like that. But man, you can't really juice avocado because there's not a lot of juice in it. It's actually probably going to ruin your juicer. Bananas, I wouldn't suggest juicing. That's going to ruin your juicer. Just add it to a smoothie. Add a banana or a avocado to a smoothie, or do what I do. Combine the blender with the juicing. And let me tell you, it's really thick. And this is like a meal. When you drink it, it is like, you are full. Especially if you add hemp seeds, if you add chia seeds, if you add a few other things like goji berries and cacao nibs as well. And it's very much like a smoothie, but you're juicing it, and it should be drank within the 12 to 24 hours. I never wait more than 24 hours. But in some research that I was reading, they said you should drink it within 10 minutes. But you know what? As long as you're drinking within the next 24 hours, I think you're pretty safe. But I have 2 smoothies a day that I was talking about on the previous podcast, and I have one of these every single day. That's 3 things. That each of these I think is about 750 milliliters, these big little bottles. So I drink 3 of these. That's already, 2.5 liters of water, of liquid in my body. Remember, we talked about water rich foods. I am drinking 2 smoothies in this day. Plus I'm drinking water from a water bottle, 2 or 3 of these a day, as well as kombucha right there in your face. Let's see that. Can you see that, people? Instagram and on Facebook and on all the other platforms. But if you're listening to this passively in your car, you can't see it. But kombucha, so obviously we talked about it in another podcast, but there's also water rich in there as well. So, when it comes to juicing, a lot of people would go on a juicing diet. I do recommend that to a point, but I do also believe in whole foods. The other S, which we're going to talk about, is salads. Eating whole salads as well. So we're going to talk about that too as well. But the point of the matter is not just going on a full liquid diet. My wife actually complains to me. She's like, is that how you eat? Is your smoothies and your juices? Well, because I'm so busy, I'm on the run so much. I just don't have time to, and I'll eat salads and I'll eat, my healthy grain stuff like that. But this is a staple, smoothies. That's why I started with the smoothies. And then the second day, I'm going to start with the juices. You can also juice beets. Beets are remember, reds are blood builders. Man, beets are amazing for salads. Beets are amazing to add to your smoothies. Beets are amazing to add to your juices. Just be very wary by juicing too many beets, because what will happen is you will go running to the bathroom very, very, very quickly. Just so you know that, guys, it goes through your system pretty quick. In my case, anyway. So juicing, buy a juicer. A pretty good quality juicer, the Jack LaLanne juicer, you can actually buy online. There's a couple other good juices you can actually get at Whole Foods and at Good. I know actually Whole Foods, I don't think has them or sells them. They used to, but I know Goodness Me sells them. Kitchen Plus, a few other Bed Bath and Beyond. It really doesn't matter. Just start doing it. Remember all of the colors of the rainbow. So you can actually do celery, cucumbers, right, which are green, and celery has something called elemental sodium. Which is essential for health in your body, the essential sodium in your body, and then you couple that with the cucumbers, which is high in potassium. So your body tries to maintain the sodium potassium levels. Then you got lemon, which is yellow. It's alkaline in nature. If people think lemons are acidic, no. When you actually digest it, it's very alkaline. It neutralizes your body. And then you have carrots. Oranges, ready, are anti-inflammatories, right? So you got the greens. You got your carrots, the oranges. You got your yellows for lemons. You can actually take beets, apples, again, for vitamin C as well, for fiber. Well, you kind of lose the fiber. That's why I add the apple to the actual blender. But let me tell you something. If you were to pick my top, I'd say 5 that you throw into it, it's definitely celery, cucumbers, carrots, lemon, and Oh my gosh. And beets. Okay. So those beets are amazing. Beets, as I said, you cut a beet in half and you juice it. And it's like, it adds that sweet taste to it too as well. And let me tell you, when you drink this, it does kind of taste kind of weird. Like when you first initially start drinking and doing juicing, but let me tell you, after a while you start to enjoy it and your taste buds will change. And then after doing juicing and smoothing after a while, go back to eating a lot of sweets, go back to eating a lot of sugary foods, high sugar foods, and you'll be like turned off by it. You go, oh my gosh, that's too sweet. I actually enjoy, as you said, peppers. I enjoy the taste of celery. I mean, going off a topic here, you can take literally one of the greatest snacks you can do is taking celery and putting organic peanut butter on the celery. My wife does it. My kids do that all the time. Or putting organic butter, almond butter or peanut butter or cashew butter on banana or on a celery. Man, it's high in nutrients. It's low caloric yield. Peanut butter, yes, they're high a little bit fat, but they're good fats, of course. And I can tell you, it's absolutely fantastic. And as I said, to repeat myself, you got celery, cucumbers, apples, lemons, beets, carrots. You can do that. And if you really want to get hardcore, you can go to, Goodness Me and buy some turmeric. But it's one of those things that's not easy to find in a normal grocery store. So you can just actually buy organic powdered turmeric, or actually take turmeric in a supplement form, which is a little bit more expensive. If you're tight for a budget, then get the organic turmeric at a store, like in one of the bags that I have actually that I use, and I put like a teaspoon in each of my smoothies for anti-inflammatory effects, because I'm going hard all day and my body gets inflamed. And again, as I said before, inflammation is one of the number one causes of disease. In fact, it basically precipitates all disease, inflammation in the body, as a result of toxic environments, toxic thoughts, toxic relationships, toxic emotions, toxic ways we speak to ourselves, toxic people we hang around, toxic bosses, whatever it might be, toxic air we're breathing, and our body becomes inflamed and becomes a environment where disease proliferates and thrives. So one of the ways to counteract that, smoothies and juices. And let me tell you something, you start doing this, do this for like 10 days. Try a juice a day in the morning and just make it the night before and just juice celery, cucumber, lemon, and an apple. Done. And maybe a couple carrots and see what happens. A friend of mine, my best friend, from Minnesota. Shout out to him, Mathan Krishnappan. Thank you. If you're listening to this, man, I shout out to you. He actually has psoriasis. I have psoriasis, which is a skin autoimmune disease, which your skin basically, your immune system gets turned on for no reason, and your skin starts to layer like too fast. It's like I like to relate this to this, that imagine you just cut your hand and your body automatically starts to heal itself. You know how it heals itself really quickly, and then it starts to itch. Well, our bodies, for whatever reason, it starts to think that there's a scar there or there's a cut, and it starts to replenish our skin much faster than the normal, and it just starts to do it. And then we get basically either it gets very itchy and red, or it starts to bleed, or you get white plaque scales on your skin. I really don't have it that bad, but to make a point, he's got it really bad. And let me tell you something. He first started juicing, and he wanted to go off the psoriasis medication. And let me tell you something. He started juicing, and when he went off the medication, because he didn't want his body just go into a complete withdrawal, he started eating healthy. He started juicing, and he says, man, this juice, he lost a bunch of weight. He felt more energy when he was playing tennis, because he's an avid tennis player, very high competitive tennis player. And his psoriasis has basically been cleaned up. He doesn't drink much alcohol anymore. But little things that he can do on a daily basis that will kind of stabilize his psoriasis symptoms. But juicing was one of the number one things that he did to actually, he was like, wow. And he juices one every single day. Sometimes I think he drinks two a day, and he does a similar juice that I do. And in fact, I got that from him about the avocados in his smoothie, or in his blender, and mixing the juice together. So for a whole slew of ailments. And here's the other thing too. If you've got seasonal allergies, one of the things you'll notice when you drink juices like having, the celeries and the cucumbers, notice your allergies will go away as soon as you drink this. It's kind of eerie. I got this from David Wolf. I was listening to an audio program with David Wolf, and he talked about how juicing and having like 2 pinches of salt in your water every single morning, like 2 pinches of sea salt or Himalayan salts or Dead Sea salts in your water, and drinking it, your allergies will go away. In fact, a lot of people that I know that went off dairy, their allergies went away, and they started adding juices, and all of a sudden their health and vitality exploded. So smoothies, squeezed, juices, And tomorrow we're going to talk about the third S, and that is salads. And then the fourth day, we're going to talk about super grains and superfoods, which is the fourth S. And the fifth day, we're going to talk about the fifth S, the final S, which is supplements, my top 5 supplements. I think we've done a podcast before, but why not repeat it? Why not to give it to our audience that haven't really heard this podcast before? And we continue on this journey. I was explaining to someone yesterday. They say, you know what? I don't have time to eat healthy, but I work out a lot. And I said, okay, let me ask you a question. So you work out a lot, which is good. It's good that you do that. It's great. But there are people that go to extremes where they eat crappy. They're drinking like lots of pop and caffeine, and they're eating like crazy amounts of carbohydrates and sugar, and they're eating just processed foods, but they don't care. But they work out 3 hours a day to counteract it. But then I say to them this, okay, let's say you had a Lamborghini and you fed your Lamborghini the worst fuel possible. But you said, you know what, to burn that fuel, I'm just going to drive my Lamborghini as hard as I can. What do you think is going to happen to the engine and the motor eventually? It's going to be completely destroyed because it starts with basic fuel. And that's why we're talking about the 5 S's of super vitality. It starts with that. And let me tell you something. When I am eating, and I'm sure people that are listening to this podcast, when I'm eating healthy and I feel centered, not just happy, but centered. I think the most, in my 20 years of studying the self-help world, out of all the emotions that you can feel, I think centered is the most powerful. The reason why, because you could be happy, but you can have almost too much happiness where you become irrational. You get what I'm saying? And there's depression too, but there's that centeredness between sort of the sense of peace and calmness, the sense of feeling the equilibrium of harmony where you're in that state. You're neither extremely happy nor extremely sad. You're sort of in between those emotions and you are fully focused and you're driven. And the people that are peak performers in the world, I think they live in that centered state most of the time, or people call it a peak state, a high performance state, but that centered harmonic state where you are in a flow state, where you have consistent level of concentration, a consistent level of focus, a consistent level of power. And if you need to call upon more power, you're able to because you are centered and you are aware. And I think that's powerful. And one of the ways we can actually tap into that and tune into that is by eating healthy foods. Because if we eat healthy foods, whatever food we eat, does it affect our emotional states? Does it affect our physiological states? Does it affect our mental states? Does it affect our relationships? Does it affect the spirit's ability to impact our ability to make our dreams come true? And the answer is yes. Sometimes the spirit is willing, but the body is weak. The body is a temple for the Holy Spirit, as it says. Whether you're religious or not, there's something to be said about that. That was said, like 2,000 years ago, more, right? So and there's also that saying, that Vedic saying that says the subtle energy in our food becomes our mind. So you got to be very careful what you put inside your body, inside your mind, what you say to yourself. And these are very powerful tools. Okay. So guys, we really promote and we really encourage you guys to start. If you don't want to do squeezed, if you don't want to do juices, try a smoothie. But I'm just going to educate you on the 5 S's of super vitality and then pick whichever one you want and then make it your own, but just practice it. And Cam said this yesterday, and I'm going to allude to this right now. And it's all about taking those small steps. If it starts with 1 smoothie a day or 1 apple a day, keeps the doctor away, right? Is it true? And here, I remember hearing Jim Rohn say this. If an apple a day kept the doctor away, what if that's true? What if that's true? Would everybody do it? And he said this so brilliantly. He said, not everyone would do it, because as easy as it is to do it, it's easy not to do. So do not ever downgrade or look down upon the small steps. It's those small steps. The turtle won the race because it took small steps and steady steps. That's what wins the race. So, ladies and gentlemen, leaders and healers, gamers and claimers from around the universe, thank you for joining on this podcast. If you love this podcast, join it. Subscribe to it on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, whatever it is. We're here to serve you. If you like it, comment on it, ask questions. If you feel this podcast or a particular podcast or episode is helping you or would help somebody, please share it with somebody. We would just love to do that. That's all. We're going to pay it forward, and we'd love to hear from you. Okay, so to your continued upgrade and evolution. Before I actually say goodbye, Janice, thank you for explaining on Instagram. You said turn your video on and happen to have a smoothie in my hand. That is awesome, Janice. Well done. And say hi to your family from me too as well. So to your continued upgrade and evolution, to all the people that are on Instagram and Facebook, we love you. Live it up with power, purpose, and passion. God bless, guys.